welcome to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Stan.
And I'm Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. It's been a while.
We're back. Yeah, we're back after our Golden Sun podcast.
Yes, getting back in the saddle after the old 4th of July there.
4th of July, E3, coming down off the E3 hype, what have you.
You know, the buzz, the high, all of that jazz.
Mm-hmm. So a little bit of housekeeping. For those of you that have been with us since the beginning, which is all of 5 months from now, let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Years,
February,
literally
if I'm not mistaken.
forever.
Yeah, forever. We're going to change the format just a tiny bit. Typically, me and Josh like to focus on a topic and then start going from there. From now on, it's going to be just a 1 hour long podcast of us talking about whatever interests us. Mostly gaming news or something going on in the game industry. So to be clear, if you're actually watching the video, the image that you see right now is probably going to be a static image from here on out. Because we're going more talking orientated. We're going more, here's us, here's what we're doing. There might be a gameplay video going on in the background, but the gameplay video might have almost nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay, cool? Savvy? Alright, we're not exactly a news show.
Guys! Oh, get away! Sorry. The fans are just getting outrageous out there.
We have actually grown a little bit. We do have a bit more fans, more Twitter followers, lots more Facebook followers, more subscribers. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you to everybody who has liked, shared, commented, interacted with us in some way. And those of you who haven't, what's holding you back? It's really easy. Just click the buttons. Get engaged. It's fun. We have a good time.
I have a good time. Josh has a good time. I hope everyone will have a good time. So, let's get down to pleasantries. Josh, how you been?
Been good, you know. The holidays have given me a little more time to spend some time playing games, especially with post-summer sale. So I've been working through some of the games that I picked up during that time period. So, you know, been good. Playing a couple new things, a couple things I've played before, but it's been a good couple weeks. How about yourself?
That's excellent. I bought Dishonored off the Steam Summer Sale, and I beat that last weekend.
Good game. I streamed that on Twitch a few months ago, my first playthrough of that. Very good game. I'm very excited for Dishonored 2.
Did you beat it?
I did. I had the very chaotic ending because I was very bad at stealth. Because anytime I would get ready to go stealth, I would blink somewhere, fuck it up, and then just murder everybody. So
let's talk about Dishonored for a minute, since that's a good topic starting point. So yeah, I bought it, and I have to say I got the high chaotic ending because the combat in that game is built so well that forcing yourself to go stealth all the time to get the low chaotic ending actually makes the game a lot less fun. So for anyone that buys or plays Dishonored, go for the high chaotic ending and just look up the low chaotic ending online. There really is... It's not worth your time to get that extra little cutscene. It really isn't. It's so much more fun to go high chaotic.
I will say the low chaotic ending is a good New Game Plus kind of goal, but I think for the first playthrough, just going through and doing the combat is perfectly acceptable. But again, I think it's a good challenge for somebody who's played the game before to try and figure out the routes to go to stealth through it, but...
I mean, this isn't Deus Ex. I'm playing this game off of Deus Ex Human Revolution, which had a great stealth beautiful stealth mechanics in that game. But Dishonored has actually, in my opinion, really bad stealth mechanics. Really, really bad. To the point where forcing yourself to stealth your way through the whole game, I find that's putting the game on really hard mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could do saves, and you could do saves anywhere in the game, but I would not recommend playing that game. And you're right. Is there a new game plus in that mode? I kind of beat it and put it off to the side.
I don't think there's necessarily like a structured new game plus, but you know, just talking like, you know, playing through that game again and trying to find a way to challenge yourself or do something else. There may be like a hard mode, but I am not positive.
It's pretty short too. You can beat it in like 12 hours.
It's definitely a game that lends itself to a couple playthroughs if that's something you're interested in.
I've said this once and I'll say it again. I would rather a really solid 12-hour game experience than a really crappy 60-hour gameplay experience.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the
13.
things that's come from the game industry maturing and also the cost of game development. But like some games, they have a story to tell, and they tell that story in the time that it takes to tell that story, and they don't need to pad it out or fluff it out, and they go through it, and they put their heads down, and they do it. And I really appreciate that, you know.
Mm-hmm. There are some games I've actually just stopped because it's too daunting. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say that video game length. Now we're getting onto that. I'm not gonna say that video game length has to have a set amount of time. Like you have to go ahead and get so many dollars per hour out of this game. No, I'm not saying that has to happen. But when the length is so obnoxiously short that you're feeling like you've just been cheated. That's definitely a topic. That's definitely a point of contention and a valid point of contention. The Order 1886 comes to mind. When you can play and beat your brand new $60 game and there is no other content beyond that in 5 hours, yeah, I would understand. You probably feel cheated, and you have every right to feel cheated. That's if you paid $60, that's $12 an hour. Movies don't cost that much.
And, you know, the thing with The Order is, yes, a lot of the cost was into the visual brilliance of that game, but...
Is it worth it?
It's not, because the problem was that the experience that was tied to those 5 hours was not a good one. So, yeah, it was visually interesting, but beyond that, there was not much else to gain value from.
I think I mentioned before The Last of Us... When I played that beat that about 3 or 4 months ago, that took me about 12 to 13 hours to beat, and that was one of the more solid gameplay experiences I've had in a long time. And you know, I paid almost full pop for the remastered version of that. Really good game, really solid game. Recommend everyone play that also if you haven't already. Of course, I'm sounding old.
Someday I'll get a PlayStation and I'll play it, but
that is one of the most solid gameplay experiences and stories I've experienced in a very long time. I'm actually really disappointed that Naughty Dog is saying they want to do a sequel, because the way this game ends, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way this game ends, it ends perfectly. It ends in a note that a sequel does not lend to itself. You devalue the product by even suggesting it having a sequel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're probably thinking, oh, now I know how it's going to end. You really don't. And let me tell you, when you finally do get to that ending, you will put down your controller and you'll probably do what I do, and you'll just think for a little moment, and you'll say, that's a good ending. That's a really good ending. That's what I did. My wife and... our temporary roommate at the time, I put that in the controller and I said, that was really good. And then I discussed with my wife how what I thought of the ending, should it have been changed. And then I thought about it and I discussed it with some coworkers, and we all came to the conclusion, like, there are other ways this game could have ended, but the way that the game ended as it did, it lends itself open to discussion, and it lends itself open to saying that was a good ending. Because it's real. It comes down as being real. If that makes sense. So, but anyways, another game I bought off a Steam sale, just kind of moving straight along. When we're talking about games that are too short or too long, I actually didn't buy this on Steam sale. I missed out on the Steam sale of this, so I just paid full price for it because I'm a dumbass. Should have thrown my wallet at the screen. Should have just bought it when I had the chance.
Yeah.
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. During Steam sale, it was like $1. Then here I am, like an ass, on
20?
Saturday. No, 15.
15, okay.
Might as well
You
have
done
paid 20.
fucked up, Stan.
I did. I done fucked up. Should have paid the $1 for it. Oh, but for $15, you can beat the game in like 4 hours. I took like 5 or 6 hours. I took my time with it. Spoiler warning, don't take your time with it. Go through the entire story as fast as you can. I'm not going to say how or why, but things happen to where all of your progress really doesn't fucking matter near the end of the game. All the little extra items and knickknacks and stuff that you earn doing extra side quests, yeah, don't bother. do not bother.
Fair enough.
And yeah, I'm going to maintain the spoiler warning on the 2-year-old game, but still, there it is out there.
Yep.
Spoiler warning. Great game. Fantastic game. Laughing my ass off playing this game. Have you played Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon?
I have not, actually. You know, it's one of those things I've been thinking about picking up and looking into because I've heard, you know, nothing but great things about it, but I just have not done it yet.
Do yourself a favor and pick up, dedicate one small weekend afternoon to playing this game. 4 hours. If you got a very bored evening right before you go to bed, you can play and beat the entire game before you go to bed. You'll have a slightly later bedtime, but it is a great experience. Absolutely great. It's Far Cry 3, but it's got an 80s themed mod to it. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
I like it.
You have lasers. You have sharks, the cybernetic sharks. You have facilities where you can see them make what the blood dragons are. They're these giant I'm not giving anything away. You find this out in the first 15 minutes of the game. Giant dinosaurs that shoot lasers out of their eyes and can only smell you, or they can detect you by hearing you, and you have to throw cyber hearts that you gather by ripping out of the chests of cybernetic shoulders to distract them and, you know, tempt them to go eat that heart. Beautiful game. I mean, there's a point in the game where at the end, I showed it to my wife, and I'm just cracking up because they're playing War from Rocky IV, that theme song. And what's happening while they're playing that theme song just had me just in tears with laughter. I'm like, I don't hate this game. There's nothing about this game I hate. I actually love this game. I would rather play Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon 2 more times than to play Far Cry 3 again. That's how good it was. And I did everything in Far Cry 3. I actually legitimately like that game. It had problems. It had a lot of problems. It had racial problems, in my opinion. Wealthy white guy goes to island and saves race of Aboriginal people. Yeah, no, there's no problems with this story.
No, not at all. None whatsoever.
Not a second. We won't talk about the mass genocide that he had committed against said Aboriginal. There are other problems, the whole tower thing that you always bring up, where you want to see this piece of the map, go to the highest point of a tower, climb on top of it, boom, map is open.
That's the Ubisoft problem. That's a different problem entirely. But yes, that is.
And Ubisoft just can't fucking help themselves.
No, it is in every single fucking game that they make, even driving games.
The game the crew has.
Even the crew has it, which is just.
I know.
Mind blowing. Like, fuck, man. Come on.
You want to talk about Ubisoft fucking up? I mean, they didn't fuck up with Blood Dragon. Let me get this out of the way. Blood Dragon was one of the best Ubisoft games I've played since Rayman Origins. I haven't played Legends, but I have played Origins. Rayman Origins, if you haven't played it, by the way, also a great game. Did you know Ubisoft fucked up Tetris?
I mean, I downloaded a free Tetris on my phone, and it was god awful. But what did they do to Tetris?
Was that EA Tetris? Because EA has fucked up mobile.
No, maybe
Tetris.
It was EA. I don't remember. I think it was EA actually.
Yeah, EA fucked up mobile Tetris by putting microtransactions in it because EA can't help themselves. They have to have microtransactions in everything. God damn it! Here we go. I'm sending you the link. Yeah, EA fucked up Tetris. They fucked up Tetris on the PS4 by it having frame rate issues and also it having input issues.
Oh God. That's
a Game Boy from 1984 with its 4-bit system and monochromatic screen runs Tetris beautifully. Ubisoft on a PS4 found a way to break it.
How do you like? I feel like I could go to a computer with very little knowledge and do all right with Tetris, but my God.
There are calculators, Canon calculators, that you can put in a little code and play Tetris on them. This is inexcusable. This is why 2014 will be remembered as one of the worst years for EA's image. I mean, not EA's, Ubisoft's image. Fuck, EA doesn't get away with this. They released Dungeon Keeper Mobile. Yeah, that's why 2014 will be remembered as the year Ubisoft just fucked up. Because they fucked up Tetris that year. We don't have to watch it now, but if you watch the video, you'll see what the frame rate issues and the button lag issues are doing to this poor game of Tetris, to where it's running at 10 frames a second.
Oh, dear God.
Just abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Ubisoft's answer to that, unplug your internet connection from your PS4. Because you play.
For boys and girls watching at home that don't see my expression right now, it is very somber and a lot of face-palmy kind of... It's just... there's some things you can't fuck up.
There's a joke in there, but the joke is Ubisoft fucking up Tetris. There is no other joke beyond that. It's such a simple game. I want to focus on it more because of the sheer audacity of it, but there is nothing else to focus on. That is the joke. That is also the headline, is the punchline. Done.
Video games are hard, apparently.
I'm not going to lie and say they're not, but goddamn, they're not that hard. That you can't put Tetris on a PS4, for fuck's sake. They would have gotten more respect had they just ported the 1984 version of the Game Boy 1984 version to the PS4 as kind of a retro throwback. Nintendo probably wouldn't have allowed them to do that, but they would have gotten more respect if they found another way than calling it Tetris Ultimate and then it just being ass.
Maybe someday. Maybe someday they will make games the way we want them to make games.
Moving right along. Josh, you're a fan of Street Fighter.
I am a fan of Street Fighter. I'm not very good at Street Fighter, but I do enjoy the occasional throwdown here and there.
You've been following the news for Street Fighter V?
Sort of. I've been aware that they have been slowly announcing characters. I haven't seen the full roster list as of now, but some of them...
I'm sorry, my cat's in my mouth.
Some of them that they've announced, I'm like, well, yeah, obviously they're going to be in Street Fighter V, but...
Mm-hmm. They just announced Ken. That's my most hype character I'm excited for.
Though, I mean, to me, that's like...
Well, they completely rechanged Ken's moveset.
To me, it's like, well, yeah, obviously Ken's going to be in Street Fighter. I can't imagine him not being a launch character.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, it's one of those, Ken's announced for Street Fighter. Well, what? Yeah.
It's the way he was announced. One, his hair is completely different. And two, his moveset has been completely changed. He's no longer just a Ryu clone. He is his own character now. Like in the reveal trailer that they showed, he's definitely his own character.
How has the... excuse me, jeez. Old man here. Has the community reacted? Or, I mean, obviously they haven't like played it or felt it or anything, but has anybody like come out and said, hey, you know, how they feel about this, or has there been a general consensus?
Oh, there's tons of reaction videos to that Ken reveal trailer, easy to find online. And my personal reaction, great. It's been a long time coming. Ken has always been kind of his own character because his moveset was still the same as Ryu's, but his actual moves, when you got down to the nitty-gritty, were different, but they weren't really different enough to kind of separate himself that far from Ryu. Now he's a completely different character. I'm trying to find a scale. He's kind of like the difference between... trying to find a character equivalent. I can't find a character equivalent. There's more emphasis on him being more stylized in his attacks, whereas Ryu is more focused and damaging in his attacks. And I don't mind this at all. Do not mind it at all.
Interesting.
I think we would be remiss. Can we take a moment? Today, on July 12th, 2015, when we're recording this, I'm probably going to throw it up tonight, the video game world is saddened.
Yes.
Satoru Iwata, the president of Nintendo, has passed away.
It's definitely shocking, and I mean, he was only 55 years old. He's been with Nintendo for 30 of those 55 years of his life, in some capacity, working at HAL Laboratories. then moving into Nintendo of Japan, moving into the board, and then ultimately taking over as president in 2002, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's seen Nintendo through some crazy times, done some pretty phenomenal things, had some misses here and there, but very involved CEO too. Definitely hands-on in things that were happening, helping code various games and working on different hardware. Also, just taking a salary cut and working to make sure that Nintendo could stay afloat with the issues they were having with the Wii U last year. So very, very passionate about games. The Nintendo, the community, very involved with. Making the decision to take a step back and do the Nintendo Directs instead of having a press conference at E3 and getting more intimate with the fans and communicating with them in a more regular fashion and a more real way. So I mean, you could probably dedicate a whole hour to talking about the great things Mr. Iwata has done for games and for Nintendo. It's very sad to hear.
It is very sad, yeah. I was legit saddened when I read that during through one of my feeds, either Facebook or Twitter. And I have to say that the gaming world has definitely lost an icon. Definitely. The guy was an incredible man at coding, incredible man at Nintendo. I'm going to put it right front center out there. I don't agree with every decision he's ever made for the company. Like, I'm doing kind of a speaker for the dead thing right now, where if you guys are familiar with that concept, it was invented by Orson Scott Card. It's where you speak both equally the bad and the good about a person, because not everyone dies as being 100% good.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, there was a time where he was about to lose his job as CEO. Mm-hmm. He was about to be fired because the Wii U was doing that bad and the 3DS was not selling that well at the time. So he was on the chopping block once or twice. But that being said, his decisions haven't always been sound for the company. But you would struggle to find someone that as dedicated to the company that constantly put themselves in the public like that.
Yeah.
I mean, who's the president of Sega? I don't fucking know. Who's the president of Sony? Jack Tretton, if I'm not mistaken. Who's the president of EA right now? I forget. It used to be Jack Rutillo. But you know who the president of... What I'm getting at is most people know who the president of Nintendo is because he's constantly out there doing Nintendo Directs, showing the games, playing games, and poking fun at himself.
Yeah.
During the Smash Brothers reveal, where it now include you can transfer your Mii or create a Mii and turn that into a fighter. Him and Reggie Fils-Aimé doing that fight, the whole puppet thing that they did at E3. Ugh, that almost brings a tear to my eye, knowing that's one of the best things that he's done, in my opinion, for E3, is to remind everyone that video games are supposed to be fun.
Yep.
Why is everyone in this building not having fun? You know what I mean?
Yep. It'll definitely be very interesting to see what happens next. I know from what I've read, Miyamoto is going to be stepping into the role running Nintendo in the interim. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going to happen or what kind of direction they'll be going in. He just he revealed a few months ago that the Project NX has been in development. And he was very big and hands-on in the work with DNA and getting that deal brokered. So it'll definitely be very interesting to watch post Iwata Nintendo and what his legacy is and what ways they carried on and what ways they differ from that. But again, echoing what Stan said, not every decision he made was great for the company, but when he did misstep, he did work tirelessly to try and correct the ship for whatever reason. So, we lost an icon today.
As Josh said, we can probably sit here for 2 hours talking about how great Satoru Iwata was, and I mean it kind of seems kind of silly for me to say it, and I'm still going to say it. We should all be so lucky. We should all be so lucky to start as a programmer and then move our way up to the president of one of the most revered and one of the largest video gaming companies in the entire world. And he didn't. Yeah, you can find many posts on Google about this. Or his biography on Wikipedia. He didn't start as some business manager. No, the guy knew his stuff. He knew how to code.
Yep.
He knew how to code very well. One of his first projects was Earthbound. Doing the entire code for Earthbound on the NES. What was that, like 20 years ago or something longer than that? More than 20 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
So let's. Can we, in this podcast, I would like to have a brief 10-second moment of silence. Thank you, Nintendo, and thank you, Mr. Iwata, for all you do. I wish Nintendo success in the future. Yep. You want to speak about Nintendo?
Let's talk about Nintendo. We're already here.
Supposedly, the NX is not going to be as powerful as the PS4, Xbox One.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
I'm not. The PS4 and the Xbox One are already outdated machines.
But the thing is, Nintendo. So okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. If Nintendo is going to open up their platform, let more third parties on, go the Linux route and make it easier to port games over to it, then yes, they need to beef up their hardware. If they are going to be keeping it closed the way that it's been, making it very proprietary, then it's okay that it's not as powerful, because we've seen with the Wii U that they don't have to have the most powerful machine to have a great platform where you can play the best Nintendo games. It's a great platform for playing Nintendo games, and they know how to work the hardware and milk it for everything it's got and still create some of the most visually stunning and appealing games out there. Plus, if they're doing what I hope they do, and going the portable tablet transformer kind of route and merging the home console and the handheld into one sort of thing, then having a system that is cheaper to manufacture will also make it more affordable, to make sure that people who are trying to buy, they're not alienating part of the market who are just looking for, a robust handheld for their kids or something like that. So I think it's an okay decision.
I don't agree with it. And here's why. They've been doing that since the Wii, and when has it actually worked? I mean, in the handheld world, it works phenomenally well. And that's because Sony just does not care about the PSP Vita. They just don't care at all. But Nintendo does care, and they market it quite well. Whereas, let's take the low system specs of the Wii U and its funky controller. How has that helped them? It really hasn't. Yes, Nintendo, as a first-party developer, makes really solid, really grounded, and high-quality games for their own system. But who else does? I mean, how many other games on the Wii U is everyone chomping at the bit to go get? I mean, let's remember E3. What games were announced for the Wii U on E3? You can count them on your hand. One hand. And how many of them were third-party titles? Well, now I just don't even know, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not many. And I will say that, honestly, the Wii U suffered from, yes, the tablet controller was a bad decision, and the naming really screwed it over, because too many people thought that it was another Wii or a modification of the Wii and not actually a new handheld device. And I think had they gone a different route in the naming aspect, which Nintendo seems to have a weird problem with in the past couple of years anyway with names, I think that may have helped them. Because, I mean, the games they do develop for the Wii U look phenomenal. And you really can't tell playing those games that that system is underpowered compared to its competition. Yeah, you may not be able to run, you know, Grand Theft Auto 5 on it at Ultra or something like that, but the games that are developed for it, especially the ones that are first-party Nintendo games, just look phenomenal. And it's a great place to play Nintendo games. So, it's one of those things where I'd like to see them do something more powerful and bring in the third-party developers, but then it's also like, well, maybe not. Maybe they just need to make the greatest place to play Nintendo games that they can at the right price point, in the right form factor. And
you say this as if it's a effective business model, but you and I both know that it has not been effective for them. They've actually lost money continuously on the Wii U. I think recently this year, 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, after the Wii U's release. Is it 3 years? It came out in 2012, or I thought... I'm going to look that up real quick, because I frankly just forgot. But, they just recently started making a profit with it. So, we can't say that their strategy is working. I mean, I guess we could. Yeah, it came out in November 2012. And it just recently started making a profit on it.
Yeah. Well, and again, I
So
think
2.5 years.
the Wii U suffered from the
Poor marketing.
the marketing, and I think the tablet peripheral was unnecessary. I think had the Wii U been the same system but packaged differently, we would be having a different conversation. Because it's not a problem with the console itself, it's with the people not understanding the console.
So there's a lot of things about the console itself that are completely wrong. Number one, the tablet controller. When you force developers to make games around the tablet controller, and if those developers want to port those other games to different systems that don't have it, you're asking automatically for 2 development teams or a much longer development time. And no one wants to be bothered with that, right? So that's issue number one. Issue number two, extremely limited memory size. You have the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One launching with 500 gigs of hard drive space for storing games or save files or anything else, what have you. Whereas the Wii U's base model launched with 8 gigs. My phone came with more than 8 gigs. And there's the up-end model, which came with 32 gigs for an extra $50. You and I both know, between 8 gigs and 32 gigs, there's not $50 of memory in between there. There's not. They're just charging you more for the actual model that you're going to use that actually works. Again, weak launch library. Why? Because you're asking people to go ahead and split your development teams. So they launch with a library of a couple first-party Nintendo games that were kind of and third-party games that have already been out for a year, and then they put them onto the Wii U system. Exhibit A. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this game. I just can't say the name out loud for some reason.
I know, Batman Arkham City.
Batman Arkham City. Thank you. Enhanced edition or whatever.
Yeah, and I think Assassin's Creed 3 or Black Flag also came out for it at the time. A couple other games like that.
EA announced, a while ago they were just reducing the amount of support for the Wii U. Ubisoft said they're done with the Wii U. Bethesda says they have nothing and they will have nothing for the Wii U. That's a big deal. Bethesda's been rocking it lately for the last couple of years. I'd say reasonably for the last 5 years, Bethesda's just been rocking it. But they're going to be all right. Nintendo's going to be all right. They got a lot of money in the bank. They're still one of the richest companies, if not one of the richest game companies in the world. So they'll be fine, but how much longer are they going to be fine?
it'll be interesting to watch. And you know what? Nothing is set in stone either. Things can change. I mean, we're not even going to get more information on the NX until next E3. So,
I'm thinking 2017 is when it's launched.
Yeah,
that's probably when it's going to launch.
Some people have speculated, it may be earlier. Some people say it might be later, but I mean, I think 2017
that'll be 5
is a safe
years.
bet. So
that'll be 5. If they launch like November 2017, that'll be 5 years after the Wii U's launch. So if anyone were like first adopters, still have gotten their money's worth. 5 years is a pretty long standard date. I think the next Legend of Zelda game will be like the Wii version. That'll probably be the very last Legend of Zelda game that will come out onto that system, or one of the last major Nintendo games that come out onto that system. Because what else besides Star Fox and Legend of Zelda has anyone heard of? Nothing. Frankly, nothing. They're going to move on to the NX. Time is nigh for that little system.
Yeah, they've got a good solid year and a half left, but then I think the development resources are going to start shifting. So let's just fingers crossed that the NX does the hybrid system, because I think that would be pretty awesome.
I know it's not polite to kick someone while they're down, but if you went to Polygon's Twitter, they actually posted a picture. They posted a link to their story where they're announcing Satoru Iwata has passed away, but their picture was of Shigeru Miyamoto.
I did see that. That was...
Way to illegitimize your news organization for the next 3 months, Polygon.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Of all the kinds of articles to not get right...
You had one job!
Memorializing a storied person like that is pretty much the worst thing you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, do we need to talk any more about that?
No, I don't think so. They done fucked up.
Sorry about that. Josh, tell me real quick. What games are you actually playing? You mentioned you got some games on Steam sale. I already talked about how I played and beat Blood Dragon. What's on your docket?
So right now, I'm still working through Grand Theft Auto 5. Put a couple hours into that over the week, advancing the story there. My progress bar says about 54% completed. I know that I've got a lot of side quests that I'm not doing and things like that, so I really have no idea how far I am actually in the story, but still enjoying it, still liking it. Started playing Wolfenstein: The New Order. Really good game so far.
Really?
I streamed a bit of it, my starting playthrough on Twitch a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago or so. Been playing through that, and I've been really enjoying it. Really enjoy the story of the game. It looks great. Been really fun so far. Also, started playing through Borderlands 2 again. Picked up in the Humble Bundle, getting together with some friends and doing the 4-player co-op. Just kind of playing through, shooting stuff, getting guns.
I don't know how you play through Borderlands. I'm just not a fan of that game, I guess.
There are certain things that I sigh about and I chuckle. I'm just like, oh, this is so dumb. But then there are some parts where I'm like, you know what? This is just self-aware enough that it makes me giggle and it puts a smile on my face. I mean, it's not by far my favorite game or one of the best games I've ever played, but I mean, it's just fun to sit with a group of friends, shoot a bunch of dudes in the face, and get a bunch of ridiculous guns.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe it's just not for me.
Yep. It's good though. Let's start trying to think of anything else that I have been playing recently. I think that's been most of my time. I do plan on, in the next week or so, if I do get through Wolfenstein here soon, I also picked up Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. I really want to play that. But so right now, Grand Theft Auto, Wolfenstein, and Borderlands.
I already mentioned that I played Dishonored and I played all the way through Blood Dragon. Both great games. I'm going to get back to working on Xenoblade Chronicles. What keeps me from truly getting interested in that game is my favorite site to go to when I want to gauge a game is How Long to Beat, because I want to know what I'm getting into. So howlongtobeat.com, if you guys haven't heard of it, go ahead and see how long the average gameplay time is. Average gameplay time for Xenoblade Chronicles, 60 hours.
Oh my god.
Whoa. Sorry. That's a deep dive. That is a huge deep dive. That's a lot of time I'm going to dedicate to a game. And you know, I can beat like 5 or 3 games in that time. So it's going to take me a while. I wanted to talk a little bit about something in gaming news that most people don't care about, but I thought we'd kind of talk about it slightly. Josh, have you heard of GamerGate?
Stan, yes.
Yeah?
I have.
All right.
I couldn't care less, but I have heard about it.
All right. So you're more ambivalent to it.
I really am. It's one of those things that I've heard about a lot. I've never really taken the time to look into what's going on, but the bits and pieces I've heard, it's like, yeah, that's shitty, but I'm also not in the least bit surprised that those things were happening. So it's not just a problem in games journalism. I mean, it's a problem all over the place that a lot of different media outlets are experiencing right now. So
I'm more or less ambivalent to it myself. I mean, I can see both sides of the argument, but, well, there are actually 2 sides of the argument. Being pro GamerGate means you're for ethics in media, as is my understanding, and apparently a lot of people must agree with them because a lot of websites, The Escapist, Destructoid, Kotaku, Polygon, just to name a couple of the big ones, have completely changed their ethics policies to keep, their journalism ethics more ethical, I guess. Like some of them will announce, who they're supporting on Patreon, so that you have openly knowing, hey, this person's supporting this person on Patreon, and they just wrote a review for their game. Their review is probably going to be a little bit biased. Or announcing, hey, I'm working with so-and-so in this game because I did some voice work, or I helped code it, or I know the level designer here that used to be my roommate, what the hell ever.
yeah.
So I'm all for that. That's actually pretty cool. I have no problem with that. I think there actually needs to be more of that if there's not in all forms of media. The anti-GamerGate side says it's mostly people are just misogynists and harassers. And a Newsweek article actually proved that the amount of tweets or Facebook posts that are actually truly harassment is something like 0.06%. So I don't think GamerGate's necessarily misogynist or harassment movement or even kind of a hate group, but it is interesting to follow. It is very interesting. Anyways, I'm getting to a thing. The Society of Professional Journalism are hosting an event called SPJ Airplay, where, get this, people that are pro GamerGate and people that are anti GamerGate are allowed and invited to present themselves on a public forum to just discuss their issues. And to me, that sounds like an awesome idea. 5 or 8, I forget the exact number, 5 or 8 panelists from each side are allowed to come. Here's something that I'm getting at. No anti-GamerGate side people are showing up. None. And to me, that spins the story that why would you not show up to a relatively neutral event? And I say relatively because some people said, oh, they're leaning more anti, oh, they're leaning more pro. And when you actually investigate the specifics of the event, which I have, it's like, no, this is completely neutral. I actually want to see what goes on here. I love hearing both sides of a debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you have people that are against the thing saying that we're not going to show up, well, why not? You have no reason not to show up. One of the reasons some people aren't showing up is that the SPJ isn't funding it at all. They're saying if you want to get here, you have to supply your own airfare and lodging. We're not going to pay for that. That should be fine.
Yeah.
What was that? 10 pro GamerGate people have decided they're going to show up. Some of them have declined, of course, work or other reasons. No anti-GamerGate people have picked it up, and I'm actually really disappointed by that. I would rather a full conversation than a one-sided one, but...
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that may signal certain things, but it also kind of looks to me like that the people who are on that particular side really don't feel passionately enough about it to actually legitimately defend their side or their opinion. Like if it
That's what it comes down to me.
Say that again?
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
to
I mean, if it were really that big of a deal, or they really were that passionate about it, there would be enough people that would go and say, hey, this is why we feel this way, this is why we think this is important or not. So that just kind of signals to me that they're really not as passionate or really I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but just in that camp as solidly as the others.
Yeah. Like, are you saying that you're not so impassioned that you're against this group that you won't meet them in a neutral forum to discuss why? Like, anyone I know that was truly for a topic would go ahead and represent themselves and their group. You know what I mean? Like, if I was, let's say, let's be extremely topical and get extremely political here. Let's say I was pro marriage equality. And spoiler alert: if you haven't checked our Facebook or Twitter, and I changed that picture, I am pro marriage equality.
Yes, absolutely.
If I was invited, or if I was asked to represent the community of people that are pro marriage equality, and they said, by the way, you have to pay your own airfare and lodging, I would at least consider it. Hell, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just someone that works for a video game company and just lives my own life, just kind of out of the way. But if you ask me to kind of represent someone, if I was more in the public than I am right now, then yeah, I would probably go consider that. Definitely. The people that are anti-GamerGate, that have just completely... it's not like they don't have the money. The people that are openly anti-GamerGate, some of them have Patreon accounts where they get $3,000 to $4,000 a month just being anti-GamerGate. I mean that. I'm talking specifically Brianna Wu, Zuri Quinn. You guys, Anita Sarkessian, you three I just named, you guys are perfect people to go represent the anti-GamerGate movement because you make money by being anti-GamerGate. That's it. So, go speak your piece is what Stan is asking. I think that's what the people that are following it as a whole are asking. Please go speak your piece. I'm not saying go speak your piece so I can watch you get ripped apart. I think if you have a legitimate argument, please go present your legitimate argument. I want to love to hear it. Absolutely. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Oh, can we speak about Anita Sarkessian for just a tiny bit? Just a tiny bit.
You can. I know almost nothing about her. I have no interest in her. She has zero bounding on anything that I consume or do. So, you take it away. She is so inconsequential in my life. I have literally no opinions on her. I had to actually look her up when we were talking about her in the pre-show because I was like, we say her name a lot. I don't actually know what she looks like or ever seen a tweet from her or anything like that. So,
I envy you. Knowing of her, knowing about her, knowing about the topics that she talks about, I wish that people had just let her make her damn little videos on YouTube and then she would have become unimportant. But because what she likes to do is she likes to play what Stan calls the victim card and say, I've received death threats. I've received threats. Now, hold on. Let me go ahead and back up. No one should receive threats, ever. No one deserves to be harassed. No one.
No.
No one. This being said, all she does at the very beginning was she blew up the amount of threats that she received, and she said that this is because she specifically talks about games. There's going to be asshats on the internet. There are.
The internet is a terrible place.
Internet's a pretty bad place. But
people who talk about video games are not the only people who get harassed on the internet.
No, they're not. At all.
And
as a matter of fact, many news reporters get harassment threats all the time.
Absolutely. There's a reason why people say don't feed the trolls. Because
what she does is she professionally feeds the trolls.
When you engage them in that way and you give them any legitimacy to anything you're saying, and now this is something I can talk about because this is agnostic to Ms. Sarkessian, but when you engage people like that, it triggers them because that's when they know they have gotten to you. They've affected you. They are in your head. If she would just not acknowledge them,
they go away.
Yeah, you know, especially
some of the report them to the FBI, report them to your local authorities by all means. But once you ride the professional victimhood train, I lose respect for you.
Yeah. Now,
and you should lose respect for your fucking self.
And I will say, it can be difficult, especially for women in technology and in the media, to be on social media. And there is a point where it can get pretty intense. I know there have been several news reporters who have left Twitter because of the way they get harassed on there. And some of that's a problem with the way Twitter works, and they really need to do a better job of their harassment and spam filtering. And if anybody's familiar with the This Week in Tech Network and This Week in Google, there's a female programmer who's been on there and hosts a show. Her name's Gina Trapani. Great person, but has talked about how, even ignoring the harassers and using the built-in media, the built-in items to filter that can be difficult. But still, it's worse when you engage them.
Yeah. But she engages them. She openly engages them. There was one time where she supposedly got a death threat before a college speaking engagement, and she canceled her speaking engagement because she said the threat put her on, I guess it put her on nerves, and she didn't want to risk, the school getting shot up. I actually read the death threat letter. It basically says that if you speak at the school, I'm going to shoot up the entire school. It's going to be worse than Columbine or something like that. Can I just say, if it was a legitimate threat, someone wouldn't announce it. That's one. Two, the FBI and police have investigated the threat, and they said it was not a legitimate threat. But not only did she cancel the speaking engagement, the tweet right after her posting her threat is her asking people to donate to her Patreon. Just fuck you. Go fuck yourself. God damn. Openly, transparently asking people to donate to me because I'm a victim. People that don't believe me, look at Anita Sarkessian's @FemFreaks Twitter in December of 2014. By all means. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm saying her tactics are just horrid. Just horrid. Just blindingly bad. But I bring her up mostly because she claims to be an integral part of the video game industry as a film critic. Not a film, but a game critic and a social media critic and a pop culture critic. Right now, the number one trending tweet or the number one trending topic on Twitter is the death of Satoru Iwata. As we mentioned before, one of gaming's greats. Earthbound, Pokemon, Smash Brothers. Well, he helped in Smash Brothers. He actually... Fun story about Smash Brothers. It was just a concept idea that was going to be called Dragon Warriors. Then Satoru Iwata helped... I can't remember the guy that actually coded the game. He's part of HAL Laboratories. Oh, that's going to bug me. Sakurai. There we go. Helped Sakurai actually code the game to make it work on the N64 properly, and then gave him the approval to add in Nintendo characters. Sleeper hit of the 20th century. Anyways, that person, that important, she hasn't said a word. If you actually check her tweets right now, July 12th, 2015, all they're talking about is Batman Arkham Knight is sexist. Her last 6 tweets. Just sad. Hasn't said a word, hasn't said her condolences. I'm not saying she's required to, but I am saying if you want to be taken seriously in the video game industry, when we lose one of our greats, you at least say, I'm sorry for your loss. Minimum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That, you can take a moment out of your conversation to pay respects to somebody who is so integral to that community you're part of. So,
yeah.
So, again,
none of that.
Again, she has very little bearing in my life because I don't really know her, follow her, or pay attention to anything she's done. So that's mine.
Okay. She actually has commented on it. Okay, I just updated my Twitter. She actually has said something. So let me do a live correction. All right, so I'm going to look at it right now. And she retweeted a picture of Link waving, saying, "Rest in peace, Satoru Iwata." And she's bringing attention that someone made a fake Twitter pic of her being, saying that she's glad Satoru Iwata has died. Okay. And there we go. That's it. I guess it's something. It's something. So, of the 3 tweets she has about Satoru Iwata, one of them is actually a retweeted picture. It's not actually her saying it. It's just a retweet of her saying, "I'm sorry, we'll miss you." And the other 2 that are actually from her are her saying that people are passing around fake tweets about me. Well, duh, they're fake. We can see your Twitter. We know they're fake. Don't... Damn. You try to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Anyways, here's my prediction about Miss Sarkessian. As you said, you're a major gamer, and she doesn't affect you. I actually had a very civil conversation with Movie Bob on Twitter, where we talked about... Movie Bob was saying that she could be a very good cultural impact, but Movie Bob has openly admitted he does not agree with everything she says. As a matter of fact, he openly disagrees with a lot of things that she says. And to that, I say thank goodness. Because Movie Bob has actually picked it up. Movie Bob is actually becoming more palatable, we'll say, lately. Maybe losing his job on The Escapist was something that needed to happen for him to calm it the fuck down. But I give it another 2 years before she just becomes... What's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here.
Irrelevant.
It means has 0 pin. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Right now, any game that she recommends, irrelevant. Like, I believe Sargon of Akkad posted a video where he noted that there is a video she posted recommending everyone play this game that was on Steam. And when she posted that video, you could check the Steam logs for the last couple weeks after she posted the video. No traction. The 200,000 people that, over 200,000 people actually by now, that watched her video saying that they recommend she play this game, no one additionally bought it due to her video. That's how ineffectual she is in the game industry as a whole. And in my personal opinion, that's why most developers or publishers just really want nothing to do with her anymore. She's caustic.
Yep. There's being a voice for change, and then there's just being
dissenting for the sake of being dissenting.
Because don't get me wrong, we need to have more conversations about feminism and women in games and issues of gender and things of that nature. Don't get me wrong, that is something that needs to happen. But just going out there and calling everybody women haters is not really the best way to go about that.
Did you see what she did during E3?
Nope.
She was upset that the game Doom was violent. Everyone on her Twitter agreed, what the hell are you talking about? Of course it's violent.
I mean...
Have you never played a Doom game in your life? Apparently not.
Yeah, well, because when I think of games that involve, going to hell, I think picnics, rose gardens, very civil marketplaces. Definitely.
I mean, Movie Bob was saying with me that she's very pro-culture and improving the game industry. I'm saying she is so counterculture that she's a parody of herself at this point. When you openly and brazenly complain that Doom, the video game in 2015, or if it's coming out in 2016 most likely, is too violent, you have become a parody of yourself. You have turned into the parents of the 90s that were complaining that Doom was too violent. Let's move forward. We won't keep it going much longer because we've just about hit the hour mark. I'm going to go ahead and bring up this piece of gaming news. And it's not even really gaming. It's actually more culture related. Josh?
Yes?
Have you seen the movie Lost World?
Seen the movie what?
Lost World.
I have not seen Lost World yet.
You haven't?
No.
Do yourself a favor. Go see the movie.
Okay.
Were you a fan of Jurassic Park?
I was very much a fan of Jurassic Park.
Okay, I showed that movie to my wife, and she has a degree in computer animation. And she just kind of said meh when she saw Jurassic Park. And I'm like, how could you not at minimum appreciate that this movie to this day still holds up?
Pretty fucking badass.
Oh, Jurassic World is good. It's good on a corny level. You know how the concept of Jurassic Park was a bad idea?
Turn that up to 11, and there you got Jurassic World.
There you go. You just said the entire plot of them.
Don't worry. I will see Jurassic World, and I know I'm going to love it because it's going to be the exact movie that I expect it to be.
The little kid in me, little 11-year-old Stan, was gushing watching this movie. I'm like, this is the dinosaurs movie sequel I've been waiting for. Thank you. Moving on to culture for that, Reddit has a new CEO.
Yeah,
Have
Reddit
you been following that?
Exploded over the 4th weekend. I was out of town and I was in an area with very little cell phones access, Wi-Fi access, anything like that. So I only caught bits and pieces when I got into brief areas where I even had 3G service. But yeah, there was a lot of crazy things happening with the now outgoing CEO, Ellen Pao, I think her name was. But yeah, it seems like Reddit has been in turmoil for a while. A lot of people leaving to go to other sites and just really, upset about the way that the administration had been run. So they've brought in, I think he was one of the first CEO.
One of the founders.
One of the founders, along with Alexis Ohanian, who, it has been rumored and reported to be coming back to Reddit in a role like that in the near future. But I can't remember the gentleman's name right now. But so he's back.
Steve something.
Yeah, Steve something. But he's back at the helm at Reddit, and it'll be very interesting to watch over the coming weeks and months how that affects the site and what kinds of decisions they start to make.
So I was kind of passive. Sorry, I was kind of passively following the whole Reddit thing, and I gotta say, I guess the issues that they've brought forth was moderators don't have that much direct control, and they've been getting promised direct control or more direct control for a long time. That just hasn't happened, and it just came to a head.
Yeah.
And now she's actually stepped down. So cool, awesome. I'm glad the community got what it wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, there's a team of people who work and are salaried to Reddit, but there's a even more massive group of unpaid folks who are doing the work every day, moderating the sites, keeping the subreddits up, and doing a lot of work. So it's really good to see that the hierarchy has recognized the importance of those people and actually listening to them and taking their opinions into consideration. So,
yeah, your community website is nothing without the community. Yep. Who knew? Who would have thunk that? It's a shame it took the ousting of a whole CEO to really make that happen or make the changes happen. Another piece of gaming news while we're talking about this week. So, you hear about what's going on in Konami? Something new just developed.
No, I missed this.
Kojima Productions is going to disband after Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of, I mean I guess it's kind of a formality now that they're announcing it. Seeing as
I realized the writing was pretty much on the wall, but now it's not even like a fully announced. It's one of the voice actor for Solid Snake just came out and said that's totally going to happen. Like, just spilled the beans, I guess, on that one.
It'll be very interesting to see what Kojima does now that he's not part of Konami after Metal Gear Solid 5 has released, and what happens to Metal Gear Solid post Kojima if Konami will actually.
They're just gonna fuck it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've obviously shown that they're really not in the video game industry anymore. So I highly doubt we'll actually get another big tentpole Metal Gear Solid game, maybe ever. I mean,
yeah.
I would not be surprised if we see the last big Metal Gear Solid game. But I'm very interested to see what.
I think 5 is it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Kojima does, where he goes, what he's going to be doing post Konami and post Metal Gear Solid.
Kickstarter. Give him 2 years. He'll be on Kickstarter pimping something awesome.
I don't know.
That's where all the greats go.
I don't think the games that he makes, he needs to be at a proper production company. He needs to be at a Sony or a Microsoft.
That's fair. That's true.
Yeah, they may do something like the Shenmue thing and do some sort of kickstarting aspect to say, all right, Kojima, you go out there and get this. If you get this much funding, we will give you, this much on top of that. That I could see something like that happening, just because his games are so freaking expensive to make.
Yeah.
But I think he'll land at a big studio of some sort. It'll just be interesting to see where and what he does. What he does.
So, hold on a sec.
I think Stan is muted. We are having some technical difficulties.
No technical difficulties. I'm so glad my wife turned on the PS4 and I'm recording in the same room. I'm so glad you brought the Shenmue thing. So glad you brought that up.
That's what I'm here for. Captain Segway is that's my middle name, actually.
Oh, thank goodness, Captain. Thank you, Captain. You're the hero we need, but not the one we deserve.
Please. I am but a humble man, here to serve.
We have fun here. So, Shenmue 3 Kickstarter. It's getting down to its final days. Let's check it and see where it's at. $4.7 million. So I would say that's above and beyond the thought of funded.
Yeah.
Unless it comes with Shenmue 1 and 2, I'm not going to get this game. I'm just going to say I never played 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've never played them. It's one of those things I really don't. I have no interest in. But I mean,
Yeah, cool for the fans.
But it does not. We know that Kickstarters obviously, a lot of them will have big bumps near the end, in the last day. People putting in more money, people putting stuff in. But I think this will be the highest funded Kickstarter. I don't think that they're going to hit that 10 million goal. I just don't think there's enough time.
Let's talk about that. So, what was that? 1 week after the Kickstarter launched, and it already got funded in the first 3 hours of it existing. The director, Yu Suzuki, if I'm not mistaken, said that Shenmue 3 will actually take about $10 million to make, not $2 million. I was like, well, Sony better be footing the rest of that bill because you asked for $2 million, sir. And
well, generally, so what they and this is kind of how what I was talking about with Metal Gear Solid and Kojima is a lot of the actual funding, like that $4 million is not going to be nearly enough to cover the cost of development. But what it is they hit so much level in funding from the Kickstarter, and then Sony will say, okay, you've shown that there's this much interest, so we are going to devote this much money to producing it. So, the entire bill, the entire wage bill wouldn't be like $10 million is going to be that number, but it's like, if we hit $10 million of crowdfunding, Sony will be willing to kick in the money necessary to make Shenmue 3 the way we want our pipe dream, our grandiose vision for it. So,
can I just say that's bullshit?
Yeah.
Not what you're saying. I'm saying, like, when I read a couple articles and listened to a couple videos about it, it is absolute bullshit that if you ask for $2 million and you get your $2 million, you come forward and say, actually, that's probably not going to be enough. The hell? When he said that, it was at $3 million when he said that. Like, you've been funded by an extra $1 million, and you're telling us you're actually about $7 million short from the way you want to make the game? Then, tell you what, if this was an experiment from Sony, if this is actually just this big experiment to ask, like, I don't know, is there actually an interest to play this game? $2 million in 3 hours tells you there's a legitimate interest in this game. So why don't you pitch in the rest to make the game that, people want? Why is this a question? How is this a question? Why is this an issue at any point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that's a Kickstarter thing with the way that the stretch goals have worked, and really just them trying to figure out how this new kind of platform is going to work in this new funding model. And I think it's something that the industry and folks will figure out as we move forward. But it's definitely interesting to watch and to see what kinds of things happen. And I mean, would be interesting to see what that number that Sony will be kicking in. What is, how much of a percentage of the total bill is that $4.7 million? So it's the same issue with Star Citizen. People are like, how much money, how does it take to do this? Well, there's a lot of other factors and there's a lot of other things go into it.
That game.
So.
No, I'm not unfamiliar that game development is a beast, right?
Absolutely.
But I am saying that if you don't know how to control your budget, maybe you need to reconsider what type of development you're actually doing. Get your development under control. And there's a fine line between, hey, we want to make this game, can you give us this much money to make the game? And then there's e-begging, where it's, we want to make this awesome game, we need a lot of your money to go ahead and do so. There's a fine line between that.
I think it's just growing pains of a new distribution platform and a new way for people to actually put their money where their mouth is, because we'll see. We'll see.
Let's end it tonight with a little bit of bitching. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Hold on. Let me go turn on this light I got right here.
Yes, if for those of you not watching the video at home, which doesn't actually exist, Stan's living room is getting quite dark as time moved on, so he needed to illuminate things.
Thank you for your patience. So
Captain Filler over here.
Thank you.
I serve many roles on this podcast.
Arkham Knight released a week ago.
That it did.
What do I need to say at this point? Once again, glad I didn't pre-order.
Yep.
It released on the PS4 at 30 frames a second. Let's start with that. Okay, I hear the PS4 version is fine if you accept the 30 frames per second. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the PC release, the version that fucked.
My God.
I am so glad I did not pre-order this game. So glad.
This is why you shouldn't pre-order games ever, because shit like this. And there's been a lot of talk about. You might have seen our post on Facebook. We posted the news that very soon after the launch. I haven't looked to see if they've relisted it on Steam, but there for a while.
No. I actually follow up to that was announced 2 days ago. Batman Arkham Origins on the PC version on Steam, on Green Man Gaming, whatever, just the PC version is so fucked that they have delayed the PC version until further notice. They're predicting fall. They said fall in Friday. Then today they said until further notice.
So they, for those of you who may or may not have been following it, they did delist the game on those digital platforms
after 24 hours.
And so as of right now, they're still not selling those. And there's been a lot of rumors about why that is. I know that the PC port was farmed out to Iron Galaxy, who's done work for them. There have been some rumors that they only got their hands on the game 6 weeks before the release, and that's part of the reason why.
Not surprised.
It just that studio definitely does not Iron Galaxy, Warner Brothers. They do not look at the PC as a legitimate platform. Now there have been the game escapes me, but there was a game that released a year ago or so, within this last year, that they did port to the PC, and it was phenomenal. But generally speaking, their track record with PC ports has not been very good.
What game was it they ported to the PC? I'm actually interested in that.
Trying to remember. It was a fairly big release, and I cannot...
I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, you talk for a second. I'll see if I can't find it.
Here's my problem. Dear WB, if your game isn't ready to be released, and if you doctored up gameplay footage to show it running at 60 frames per second, and then you release the game and it's 30 frames per second, let's also acknowledge the fact that 24 hours before the game released, you went onto the Steam website and changed the hardware requirements before the game. That's shitty. That's bullshit. You knew what you were doing. You knew the game was going to be bullshit. And then you released it anyways, hoping that no one did anything about it. I'm so glad the community just blew up in your face and you delisted the game. You know what? I hope everyone that bought that game got a full refund. Do not deal with it. Do not defend WB. It is absolutely inexcusable that at this point in time, a multi-billion-dollar company can take a beloved franchise and title that they've been hyping up for 2 years solid and then just release it on the most probably their second most profitable platform, the PC, PS4 being the most profitable platform, let's be honest, and then release it in just a shoddy, just embarrassing state. Absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, but you know what? This is our first also example of the Steam refunds really speaking volumes and really being a major effect for a big studio, where we're actually like, okay, we've got a big tentpole release, and the game is awful, and people are returning it in droves. And the game that I was thinking of was Shadow of Mordor, came out, okay. and the PC port was phenomenal.
Cool.
But then you look at Mortal Kombat X, the PC port had some very big issues. The Witcher 3...
absolute bullshit.
The Witcher 3, decent. There have been some issues, nothing too majorly. There was one save corrupting bug that was out there for a while, but it wasn't just PC specific. So
I've heard nothing but good things about this game.
Yeah, so they definitely have a weird checkered history when it comes to PC ports, but it's very obvious that more often than not, it's not their focus, or that they're...
No, I'm not holding the studio that had to port this game to PC responsible. I'm going to where the buck stops. I'm holding WB and NVIDIA responsible. NVIDIA for releasing that video footage that showed 60 frames per second gameplay, and I'm holding WB responsible for not QAing their own game and then saying, either knowing it's going to be bad or not even bothering the QA. It's one of the two. Either you bullshit us and lied and sent it out the gate, or you didn't even try. Which one is it? So no, I am not satisfied, because I actually legitimately enjoy the Arkham games, and I kept my fingers off the computer for pre-ordering this game, because as they've shown us with Arkham Origins, WB doesn't care if they release a game in a shitty state. They just don't care. So when you see them as a publisher, do not pre-order. The only games I actually recommend pre-ordering are Nintendo games. Why? Because Nintendo holds themselves to a much higher standard. Name the last Nintendo game that was broken out the gate. Someone help me out here. Josh, help me out here. What's the last Nintendo game broken out the gate?
Other M.
That was broken critically. Gameplay-wise, it did what was advertised.
But there was a bug in it that you could get to a point where you could not advance the game any further.
You're right. There was that bug where if you, check this out, you actually explored off the linear path. That's right, I remember this. The game will get into an unplayable state. And because Nintendo on the Wii did not believe in patching their goddamn game, you had to mail your memory card to Nintendo so they can manually alter the code of your save file. What is this, 1999?
I'm surprised they didn't actually put cartridge instead of memory card. Just send us your cartridge of Metroid Other M. Wait, Nintendo, do you know what you're doing right now? Do you know what year it is?
Oh, that's pathetic. It didn't affect me. I know it didn't affect Josh, but it was a bug. It was a known issue. It was out there, and Nintendo had no way to correct it because they didn't believe in patching games on the Wii. That's just sad at this point in age. Don't get me wrong. There are some maybe they don't believe in patching on the Wii because they have a philosophy of getting it right on the first time.
Yeah, more often than not, though, Nintendo's gonna get it right.
Yeah, that's the only company I recommend if you really, really want a game from Nintendo. Pre-order from Nintendo. Or don't, because it's going to be there. There are very few games that are hard to get from Nintendo on week one. Actually, I take that back. Smash Brothers on week one was actually legitimately hard to get if you didn't pre-order it. Like, places were just running out. And you know what? That's okay, because it was a very popular game. You can get a copy of it right now if you want. Obscure games, pre-order them. I'm talking like, what's an obnoxiously obscure game? Any game made by Atlas. That's extremely obscure. Pre-order the shit out of that if you're really interested. Go for it. If at least you'll get your copy. Don't pre-order Call of Duty. Don't pre-order Assassin's Creed. Don't pre-order Batman Arkham Knight. If you go to any GameStop or Best Buy, there'll be copies. There'll be plenty of copies. And you could just walk in and pick one up. Pre-ordering, it just tells the company that they have a secured sale. And when they believe they have that many secured sales, guess what? They stop caring about releasing a solid product. Ubisoft, I'm looking right at you. I will not forget about Unity here soon. Especially when their patch update for it was 7 gigs. 7 gigs of a patch to fix your 50 gig game. That's just embarrassing. Embarrassing. Alright, now that we've went ahead and talked about how video games need to just release day one working, you see any other gaming news this week that piqued your interest, George?
You know, nothing that really sparked my fancy enough to mention right now. Nothing that I can think of.
Josh, where can people follow us on Facebook or Twitter?
Well, on Facebook, you can follow us at Unscripted Gaming. Just look us up there. On Twitter, you can do unscript_gaming. Unscript_game. I can't remember our Twitter handle right now. That's embarrassing.
It's unscript_gaming.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Unscript_gaming. There are links. You can find us. You can also click the subscribe button right here on our YouTube channel. Just right below this video here. I'm making the motion of the finger down like most YouTubers do, but as this is not a visual medium, well, that we are choosing to do, you can't see that, but you can click it. Do it. Trust that I'm doing it.
No. I'll throw the links in there.
Yeah, links. Do that. Click those buttons. Click the likes. Follow us. Get updates. Hang out. Also, comment. Tweet at us. Post on our Facebook wall. Chat with us. We want to hear from you guys. We want to get your comments, feedbacks, bitches, moans, groans.
Oh, if you want to bitch and moan and groan, by all means, do so.
Yeah.
I'll listen. But if you're curious which one of us talks the most, I think Josh talks the most on Facebook and I talk the most on Twitter.
Sounds about right.
And if you guys ever are curious which one of us doing the most talking, I'm the angry one.
And I'm the chill, laid back, life's good.
Yeah, I typically post some chill things, but I do go on Twitter rampages, so be prepared. Alright, I think that's about it for Unscripted Gaming this week. You guys have yourselves a great night. And take care.
Peace.